Hi, I'm Dan Smith, and I'm going to tell you my story about Keith Richards. When I was just moving here to New York City many years ago, this is probably 1988 or so, I was walking out in Greenwich Village down Mercer Street at about 5:30 in the morning, and this guy walked by me, and I couldn't help but notice him, but I didn't recognize him. I didn't know who he was, which is a crucial part of the story. But I couldn't help but notice this guy. He had big hair and big sunglasses on, and he was walking his dog. He had a long white cigarette hanging out of his mouth. It was probably about 5 inches long. I don't know, it gets longer every time I tell the story, but he had 3 deep lines on either side of his face. And I couldn't help but notice this guy. I was like, what is it about this person? Because he certainly didn't look young, but he moved very youthfully. He had a very kind of like a groove to how he walked. And so he walked by me, and I felt this thing. I didn't know what was happening. And then about 10 feet later, I realized that Keith Richards had just walked by me. And, it confirmed a lot of what I'd already been thinking about at the time about music and playing guitar, which is that, cool music comes out of a cool person. There's this absolute, more than a connection, it really is kind of the same thing and that's what makes that music. So, if I had recognized him, I would have doubted what I felt, because then, when you recognize somebody, you go, oh, they must be this way. No, I felt it from him without recognizing him. And what I felt was like, I felt Jumpin' Jack Flash walk by me. I felt Gimme Shelter walk by me. Meaning, like, it doesn't start when he picks up a guitar and plays. He's that way all the time. He's Keith Richards all the time. So that doesn't mean that we now all have to be like Keith Richards. I don't think that's the point. You got to be like you. What I felt from him was he was a connection that he had with himself. There was all kind of integrated, and there was just this kind of truth to it. Now, that also doesn't mean you're going to solve all the problems of your life before you pick up a guitar, because, look at Keith Richards. I don't think it's a question of solving all the problems of your life. But it's a really powerful idea that's really, in many ways, has greatly influenced me and my teaching and my music. And that's the idea, is that who you are is your music. So that's good news. I know it might seem like that's somehow an impossible thing to work on, but it's actually very possible. You can work on your music without a guitar in your hands. It really comes down to, how are you in your life? How do you shake hands with somebody? How do you talk to yourself? How do you go through your day? And yes, how do you work on your guitar playing? But then when you pick up a guitar, it's just going to be an extension of who you already are, as would be the case, as we know is the case with the Keith Richards. That guy is, of course, he's going to make the music that he makes. So I hope this is helpful to you. It's a story that I find still to this day very powerful, and I really am grateful for the lesson that Keith taught me just by walking by me on the street.